what's going on again, everybody? John here with Knight Shining Armor Paint Correction, Ceramic Coatings, and Detailing. Today we have another part in the DIY Tuber series. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about my shop environment, or our shop environment. And this is going to be a little strange video for me today, is because we're between shops. So I can't go around and show you our shop environment because we're moving it. Going from Ohio to Texas like we've been talking about. But I can tell you what the environment is like, put some of the different things that are in our shop on the green screen behind me. And hopefully that will suffice and give any of you out there ideas of what you might want to do with your shop. Or if you have questions about things, or you've been thinking about what we use or what you should use, I can let everybody know how we do it in our shop. And our new shop is going to be the exact same way. Not going to deter from any kind of things we've had in any of our previous shops. So without further ado, let's get started. The one thing that, regardless if it's in Ohio or Texas, that we absolutely have to have in our shop has to be a controlled environment. Both heat in the winter, which you're not going to need so much here in the North Texas area, but especially in Ohio. But both in Ohio and Texas, our last shop that we had air conditioning, and that is a game changer. If you're going to install coatings, you got to have AC. It takes all the humidity out of the air. The open time is so much longer. You got to have an air conditioned shop. I will never go back to a shop that doesn't have AC. And I don't know about you guys, and I'm the type of person that I could sweat my ass off, excuse my French. If it was 60 degrees out and I'm going around a car, I could be dripping sweat because that's just the way I'm built. I'm the type of human being that sweats a lot regardless of the temperature. Next, you gotta have lighting. You can't detail, you can't correct, you can't install coatings, you can't apply PPF, you can't wet sand and polish. You can't do any of that if you can't see. And the lighting that we like to use in our shop, we use two different kinds of lighting in our shop. We try to stay with something on the cooler end of the spectrum that simulates daylight. We use anywhere from 5,000 Kelvin to 5,500 Kelvin bay lights, depending on the wattage that you would choose. And that comes down to the height of your ceilings and how big your area is, how many lights you're gonna need. And when we first installed lights like this, we had 6 or 7 250 watt lights in one bay. And that proved to be too bright, especially on white vehicles. You could actually miss a scratch in a white vehicle. And they're hard enough to see to begin with. So we toned that down a little bit and we dropped down to 4 or 5 in a bay. And we've learned that the sweet spot is that if you stick around 200 watts and they're anywhere from 10 to 12 feet in the air above the vehicle, whether they're angled or straight above, it doesn't matter. You can mix and match because, you know, when it comes to seeing a painted surface or inside a vehicle, you know, angles are everything. And speaking of inside vehicles, we have a bunch of hanging rechargeable lights that are made to go underneath the hood that we can hang between the roof pillars on each side, or the roof rails, and shine in a vehicle. If you're going to be detailing inside, you can find those at Harbor Freight or from Mac or Snap-on or Matco. It just comes down to what you want to spend. And not always is more expensive better, but generally speaking, you get what you pay for. We do have some flexible rechargeable lights that we can use to see in certain spots that have a magnet on them. They're great if you're tearing the door apart or you're going to be working underneath the hood. We got those at Harbor Freight. So lighting is everything. And of course, we have your typical construction lights on on a tripod that you can get at Harbor Freight or Home Depot or Lowe's to be able to see. We like to turn some of the lights out on one side of the shop so it's not completely dark, but you want to get a mix of both worlds so you can see what you're doing. So something else in our shop environment that we like to have, we have 3 to 4 remote control wet and dry vacs. And these are mainly just used for vacuuming. Whether you're going to attach a tornador to it or not, it doesn't matter. They're mainly used for dry vacuuming. And the remote control's on a handle that you're supposed to be able to use it on the hose, but I found out personally for me, that just gets in the way. So I just take the handle along with me, this attachment, and you can turn the vacuum on and off without walking over the wall or turning around and bending over. And they're made by VacMaster. And they did make these same vacuums for Craftsman. I don't know if they make them for Craftsman anymore, but we have two or three VacMasters, and we have one made by Craftsman as well. And I don't know how much time over the 5 years that we've been using them that has actually saved us from, you know, turning around and going to the wall or going to the vacuum. It's just poof, it's off, which is really great. And that goes along with, you know, you have to have airlines everywhere. Just like you can't clean a vehicle without, you know, a wet and dry vac or a vacuum or electricity, you can't do it without air. You have to have compressed air. We have multiple airlines run throughout the shop. So if you need air, it's on a reel and poof, it's right there. Another thing, tools. We have a zillion tool carts. One is for all our interior products. Another has a wheel stand on it, and all of our coatings are on that cart. We have a cart with all of our compounds and polishes and sandpaper and pads and all that fun stuff. And then we have a couple different toolboxes. I have a toolbox that is just used for window film or PPF. And I have a double stacked Mac toolbox that has all of, you know, sockets, screwdrivers, ratchets, torques, you know, hex sockets, reverse torques, you name it, I've got it. So some of this stuff I've been collecting for almost 30 years. Sorry, I made some cheat sheets here because it's just kind of hard to do off the top of my head because I can't walk around the shop and be like, hey, it's this and that. So, and the other thing that I like to have in my shop, I have multiple pressure washers. One is used specifically for washing, and it doesn't matter if you're doing a pre-soak, a wash, a strip wash, you know, you're applying a foaming ceramic sealant, it doesn't matter. We have one pressure washer that does all of that. And then we have another one attached to a giant DI tank to de-ionize the water so we have a spot-free rinse. And I don't know about the water that's going to be in Texas, but we are able to go a year or two without having to change that tank out and change the cup contents in the tank and have to have it replaced. We go through our local Culligan man to get those. And the cost up front isn't as much as buying your own, but you do have to pay a monthly fee every month. Excuse me. And lastly, I don't know if this is actually for your shop environment or not, but of course we've got an office with a desk and a waiting area and a TV. And then on the back end of that, we have online booking available that will take deposits. So we do that through Urable and Square. Of course, we have Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and a Google My Business page, Yelp, any social media that you can think of, we want to incorporate into our shop environment and try to streamline everything. There's so much that goes into what your shop environment actually is. It's not just the stuff in the shop. It's everything around your business, in my opinion. And I have learned that having a YouTube channel and doing all these social media things, that's a full-time job in itself. And for myself personally, I've been our web designer, our graphic designer, our social media manager. I do the appointment. I do it all. I'm a one-man show. I hope to change that in Texas. I hope within 3 to 6 months of being here in Texas that, business booms out of sight like nothing I've ever seen, and I have to hire at least 2 people so I can keep up, so I can do all the business things that I need to do and just stick to coatings or whatever I'm gonna do. So I hope this was insightful. Excuse me, I'm tired. I drove from Ohio to Dallas. I left yesterday around noon, 1 p.m., and I got here today about 4 o'clock. I'm exhausted. I get to fly back to Ohio tomorrow, talking to you from my hotel room here just outside Love Field in Dallas. I will try to list in the description links for all the different things that we use and the different lighting. And speaking of the lighting, we do have strip lighting that we like to use. It's worked out well. So if you want to turn out the bay lights, you just want to keep a little bit of light around when you're doing correcting along with the construction light. It works great. But I'll try to list everything in the description below. I do have another YouTube video that shows our pad and compound cart that we got. I'll try to list that in the description as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, my name is John. We are Knight in Shining Armor Paint Correction, Ceramic Coatings, and Detailing. We will catch everybody in the next video. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you all soon.